Hey guys, how are you going? It is Probe here, and I am back with a Protoss vs Terran guide for you today. This will be going over a Colossus drop build. It's a lot of fun. I've been having a lot of success with it, and honestly, as memey as it sounds, it's actually very, very strong. If you guys are liking this content, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, all that kind of good stuff. It really, really helps me out. I want to really push for 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so anything you guys do, I really appreciate it. Either way, let's just get right on in. So, if you guys have been watching my stream lately, you'll know that I've been doing Colossus drop. We call it the Golden Elbow over on my stream. Why do we call it the Golden Elbow? I'm not entirely sure. I guess it's because Colossus are, well, golden. And then we're dropping them, so we can drop the Golden Elbow. I don't know, sort of like wrestling terminology. Either way, the Golden Elbow, a Colossus drop, that's what I'll be covering for you today. Completely standard early game Protoss vs Terran, so we'll talk about that here. Gas, gate gas, and then I go core first, so 20 core, and then 20 Nexus. We send our probe scout after we build the gateway. This is the right time to go scout. When I get to the other map, I see that he has a barracks, so I know he's not proxying me. If you guys need help with dealing with proxies, I have an older video on my channel. I'll link to it here. And go check that out if you need any help for that. Either way, we know that this is going to now be probably a standard game, especially once we see the command center go down. Okay, so back at our home, 20 core, 20 Nexus, and then you go 21 Pylon. Now in this game, I actually made a mistake and I went 21 gas. This is what you would do if you're going Nexus then core. I made a mistake, that's fine. The way I recover is I don't build my 20-second probe. I just get the Pylon still on 21. So I cut probes for a second, made a slight mistake. It's not the end of the world, that's fine. So now once the core finishes, we'll get an Adept, and we'll chrono boost this out. And I've also been liking getting this shield battery. This shield battery means I can send my gateway unit straight across the map, and a Reaper won't be able to deal any damage. Now in this game, because I cut a probe for a bit and all that kind of stuff, I actually end up still losing one probe, which is very sloppy by me. But yeah, usually if you do this, it's fine. So the correct build order is Adept, Shield Battery, Warp Gate, and then a second gateway unit. And so I build Stalker here and I chrono boost it. Now as Reaper gets across very quickly on this map, if I just pulled away this probe and right clicked on this mineral line, it actually would have been fine, wouldn't have died. But I still lose it, unfortunately. So yeah, now you just chrono boost probes, build probes, and your Adept has gone across the map. Continually shade it into the natural. I didn't get a chance to delay the command center this game, so it finishes, but I still get a scout off, you know. What I'm scouting for with this, I'm scouting to see if he's building reactor Hellions, or, a Marauder or something like this. And if you keep this Adept alive, it's really, really nice. In this game, I end up losing it, so that's a misplay by me. So yeah, just try in general to keep it alive. Now back at home, let's go back one sec. You get your Robo Bay as soon as you can afford it. So I can get that now. And obviously you see I'm floating gas, so it's more once you have the minerals to do it in this case. Don't cut probes, keep building probes, chrono boost probes as much as you can. And then get your facility down. It's not the biggest deal in the world, the timing on this. Yeah, so I do end up losing this Adept, which is unfortunate. But I would say just try and get this Adept out once it's done some scouting. And leave it here, ideally. If you leave it here, it means you can see if they're coming across the map to attack you, if there's a marine tank push. An Adept here is such good scouting. And in general, just in PvT, if your Adept is home right now, and let's say you kill the Reaper, so you don't need to defend from the Reaper anymore, also send your Adept out every single time, and leave the Adept here. That's the kind of map vision you can get, because you can see if stuff is coming across the ground. And if you don't see anything coming across the ground, it means that there's most likely a drop coming. So these are the kinds of scouting things we can do in Protoss vs Terran to deal with all the shenanigans they can throw our way. Now in general, I like getting a single gateway at 3 minutes, or 3 minutes and 5 seconds. In this game, I didn't build that gateway. So instead I build 2 gateways at 3 minutes 30. I like the 2-gate version, but the 3-gate version is also fine, and it roughly works out the same. But if it's 2 gates, make sure you build the 2nd gate early. If it's 3 gates, you can build 2 of them at 3:30. Now as soon as your Robo finishes, we build an observer and chrono boost it, and we add our Robo Bay. At 4 minutes, we're going to add gases on our natural. 4-minute double gas. Make sure you don't get supply blocked. Maybe this replay wasn't the best. I'm making all these kinds of silly mistakes. I think I'll probably have to cancel a probe here so I'm not supply blocked. But in general, as soon as your Robo finishes, you should build a Pylon as well. Slight mistake from me, but it's not going to affect the build order too much. Just obviously don't forget this Pylon. So yeah. I think I cancelled a probe, so the build order still works out completely fine. Yeah, once this Warp Prism finishes, you're going to start a Colossus immediately, and Warp Prism Speed. These are our 2 things, Colossus and Warp Prism Speed, and we're going to try and chrono boost both of them as much as possible. I don't know why I'm not chrono boosting. There we go. Chrono boost, chrono boost. I tend to put 1 chrono boost on Warp Prism Speed, and then 2 chrono boosts on the Colossus. And throughout all of this, we've continued to probe up. We've got to saturation. My observer has reached the other side of the map, and I saw that in this case he went for a 3rd command center. So I can be greedy myself because I saw the 3rd command center. This first observer is extremely important. You need to get a scout on. So let's see, what are the things we could see? In this game we saw 3rd command center. Let's say you see 3rd command center or double upgrades or something like this. That means the Terran is playing very, very macro focused, and you can take a quicker 3rd base. So in this game I add Twilight and Forge. I always add Twilight and Forge as my next steps, and then I take a 3rd. If, for example, I saw 5 barracks or 3 barracks and a lot of pressure coming, a quick stim timing, something like this, then instead of taking this 3rd base, I would add Twilight Forge as always, and then 2 more gateways. And if it's even like super, super committed kind of push, I would add, a shield battery, and then maybe even 2 more gateways. Stuff like this. So you don't need to take a very fast 3rd base with this style. See what your opponent is doing. If they're being very aggressive, if they're being greedy, react appropriately. So yeah. Warp Prism comes out, it's on its way. We then get another observer. In general, I really like getting 2 observers, so I end up sending one down here, and then I'll send the other one here, and I'll build a pylon on this side of the map. And then we have this nice ring, if you just look at the minimap, of vision, So nothing can really slip by. In this game, as I said, I take the 3rd Nexus, I continue probing. Now, in this game, I add Blink and +1, but Charge and +1 armor is also fine to do. Now, when you get to the other side of the map with the Colossus, let's have a look at what I do. You want to go straight for the mineral line. And you want to try to focus down as many SCVs as you can. As you can see, there's tanks here. Now, you have to be very, very careful. There's a Raven, and there's a Viking here. This is very, very scary. The Raven, with its with its disable missile, you need to be very, very careful that your Warp Prism doesn't get locked out when the Colossus is dropped, because then you lose the Colossus. So if you want to risk it and out-micro your opponent, you need to be watching this Raven very carefully and pick up the Colossus as soon as he shoots out the missile. If you don't want to do this micro, just move the Warp Prism away, okay? The Colossus drop bit of this build is where you can have your fun, okay? Microing around, going between the bases. But if you can't micro it, if you're floating tons of money behind this, put it to the side, come back to it later, macro behind it, add all these gateways behind this, all that kind of stuff. This is a macro build, just with a fun bit of pressure, okay? And sometimes my Colossus drop does nothing, sometimes it does quite a bit. So yeah, in this game, he had a Viking. If he has a Cyclone, that kind of stuff, it makes it very hard to commit. But we'll see what we can do. I'm just going to swing back around and try and drop on the tank, because I remember that a tank being here, And tanks, obviously, once they're in siege mode, they can't shoot, right? So yeah, I see nothing too much. I have an observer at the front, so I know he's not pushing out. He's taking a third base. So what am I doing behind this? Okay, what is the next step? The next step is to add more Colossus, get range, and then add a bunch of gateways. You want to go up to 8 gateways, Colossus tech, and shield battery on the third base for defense if you're being attacked. Okay? So just a very, very standard Colossus opener. Just we're doing this Colossus drop with this fancy micro, getting some SCVs, all really nice. How much damage did I do? I killed 5 workers. Sometimes, this is probably a pretty good amount of workers killed at my MMR range. And for the opener that my opponent did, which was super duper safe, added a Raven, added a Viking. Some games I get 10, 12, something like this. If they're attacking across the map, I tend to get more as well, because he has nothing at home. So yeah, this is sort of just a fun macro pressure build that you can put on. Now, because I see my opponent has 3 bases, okay? Because my opponent has 3 bases, I'm going to start looking to take a 4th base. I'm going to start looking to take my 5th and 6th gas geysers. Sorry about the phone. But let's say he was on 2 bases still. I would just be adding shield batteries and units, constantly building units, shield batteries at both bases, just trying to defend as much as possible. But since I see he has a 3rd base, I can now go and take a 4th base. And the game plan, as soon as you see your Terran has a 3rd base, the game plan is to take 4 bases, go up to 75 workers. 75 workers is essentially 4 base saturation. 4 base saturation with the mined out main base, okay? So it's very important to go up to 75 workers. We'll get upgrades, we'll get a Templar archives, and then we're just going to go try and kill our Terran opponent. So that's what I'm going to go and try and do this game. Try and set up some drops, some counter attacks. I add another Forge for double upgrades, Templar archives, and I start Disruptors. So after 3 Colossus, 3 or 4 Colossus, you go into Disruptors as well. If you can't micro Disruptors, that's fine, just build more gateway units. The gateway units being Charge Lots, Archons, and Stalkers, okay? This is the army we're going for, and as you can see, I'm at 67 workers right now, but I'll continue to be producing workers in this entire game. Once I add my 4th base, I'll be going up to 75 workers. So that's, if you think of it, that's another 8 workers, so that's 1 for each patch, and then 8 workers from the main base will go down to the 4th base as well. So we have fully saturated 4 bases. And I learnt this from Parting. It's sort of how he plays. Once he gets a really quick 4th base up, he tries to saturate it to 75 workers, then just adds Templar archives, Archons, 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 no Storm, and go kill the Terran. This is, in particular, very, very strong if you're ahead in the game. If you're behind, you might need a Turtle and add Storm, but if you're ahead, this is a great way to kill your Terran opponent, okay? So yeah, he's being a bit annoying, dropping around. In general, we try and have two different armies. So this one here and this one here. Because where else can he drop if we look at my map vision? It's either at my 3rd base or towards my 4th base. So yeah, we're just posturing around, cleaning up the best stuff we can. I end up actually losing the Warp Prism to 2 missile turrets, unfortunately, so I'm going to have to build another one. But yeah, as you can see, we just warp in Archons, got 4 bases, fully saturated, and we have an amazing army for killing a 4th base, okay? Don't try and commit too hard, don't try and force it, but this is the kind of army that is really, really good. And behind this, we see I'm adding a Dark Shrine. The next step in this transition is to add DT Blink and do DT counterattacks into their 3rd base while you attack their 4th base. This is how you pull a Terran player apart, okay? This is the kind of plays that we're looking for in Protoss vs. Terra. Yeah, so in this point, this game is very straightforward. I'm just going to be attacking his 4th base. Trying to get some disruptor shots, you know. And, you know, I leave some units at home to be able to defend any counterattacks. Keep posturing around, keep trying to find an angle of attack. This map is actually very, very good for defensive Terran play, so it's a bit hard for me to find anything at the moment. But I'm always going to be searching. Behind this, my other transition that I often like, if they're not going a lot of Liberators, you know, just a couple Liberators here or there, I will add 2 more Robos for Mass Disruptor. If they are adding a lot of Liberators, I will add a Stargate here and a Fleet Beacon. Yeah, in this game, I see he's going to drop me, so I'm going to have to warp in at home, and I get actually such a good pick off here. And then warping in DTs, I'll be able to clear this up. We actually pushed in, cleared out a lot of units. Got into the main base as well, somehow. I don't know how I did that, but... Very important in the late game as well. Add cannons and shield batteries at your external bases. It's very, very important. So, any counter attacks, you'll be fine. Yeah, this game I slowly pull my Terran opponent apart. I hope you guys have liked this video and this guide. Overall, this style I think is really, really fun and enjoyable. And the late game transition where you just build a lot of units and go attack off a high economy, I think is very, very enjoyable as well. My 5th base should have been down earlier this game, but that's okay. Don't fret too much. I'm a bit worried about this planetary and all the tanks here, so I'm trying to, like, you know, set up some pushes, get more Archons. Archons for tanking are really, really good. And if you feel that you're not getting anything done, just think about transitioning to the next step. If your Terran player is like turtling, I'm denying a 5th base just by sitting here, right? But if your Terran player is turtling a lot, think about adding Tempest, Storm, more bases, okay? This is how we play late game, and at this point I just push on through, and there's nothing he can do. This game's over at this point. Guess we can just watch the end of it. Any good disruptor shots? No, only bad micro for me, I guess. Either way, I just warp in. Oh, wait, I think I zoom in. I remember playing this game on stream. Blink on top. Oh, there we go. So there we go. No GG from the Terran. This is the kind of anger that you can expect when you do this kind of build. Overall, fun style. The Golden Elbow. I do it a lot on my stream. It's actually like my go-to Protoss vs Terran build right now. And the 75 worker transition into just Archon, Colossus, and push, really, really powerful as well. So if you guys have enjoyed this content, please think about subscribing, liking, commenting down below. Let me know how this build has gone for you. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. See you later, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in.